I'll be with you in a second. Just a second. No more, a little less. Alright, whatever.
Well, here we are. Episode 2, I guess. Let's turn it on. We've got some rearranged cameras in here. So we'll see how that goes. So, let's turn this thing off. Oh, blessed silence. And I'll turn it on, and then we'll get to the login prompt and see what happens. Alright, hopefully you can see there's a little percentage sign for the login prompt. I kind of like logging out and then logging back in again because I get the full automatic login. Here we are, new session. This is a 1970-ish Teletype Model 33 ASR terminal. It's a computer terminal connected to a computer over a current loop. And the current loop is an old serial protocol, and it connects to a computer that's a long way away. Actually, it's down in the back of the pedestal underneath here. It used to be the computer would be much bigger than the terminal, but now the reverse is true. So, terminal still works. The subject today is we're going to go down a rabbit hole. I felt like I got to go down this particular rabbit hole right now. There was a little moment on Twitter, and as things do on Twitter, this one took my attention, and I thought I'd better do something with it. The particular subject is, so Justin Azoff said, do you use Control L or do you type clear to clear the terminal? And yeah, let's try that. Control L it doesn't really clear the terminal. But then what does clear the terminal mean anyway? Of course, if you say clear, you'd expect it to clear the terminal. And it really doesn't. It says TTY33AMX. I can't handle hard copy terminals. So this particular rabbit hole is, let's go see. Why does it do that? What is that exactly? There's a whole lot to investigate down there, as it turns out. So I have maybe an hour. I'm going to sit here and try to figure out what is this all about. So I can't even do a pipe. How do I do a pipe on this keyboard? I'm still learning, as you know. There is no real pipe symbol. I want to print my environment, but there's a whole bunch of secrets in it, so I don't really want to print my environment. I want to actually do env and then pipe through grep to show you the value of term. Term is uppercase. This keyboard is uppercase, or it appears to be uppercase, but in fact there's a little piece of firmware that's translating everything uppercase into lowercase. So when I type something like env, right, then Linux expects commands to be in lowercase, and So I have a little piece of firmware that runs between the terminal and the computer, and it's running on a little teensy chip, and the firmware takes all these uppercase letters and turns them to lowercase. Super convenient. I can say ls and or cd. I have a directory called ASR33. Let's say what's my working directory. That's super convenient because as far as the Unix machine is concerned that I'm connected to, these are lowercase commands, and the result is actually coming back in these directory names are lowercase. So the value I want to print out is term, T-E-R-M, that says in Unix like the value the name of your current terminal. And it turns out my terminal right now is TTY33-AMX. You may have to just take my word for it. Unless I can figure out how to do a pipe sign. I have all of these ones up here. It's not this one, that's an underscore. I have backslash and plus and so on. I don't think I have a pipe sign on this thing. I don't think I can actually pipe. So let's bookmark that one for later and we'll figure it out. Instead, let me show you how TTY33-AMX is defined, because that's actually a custom thing. You won't find that on a normal system. I've customized it to do that. So let's look into TTY33-AMX and we'll figure out why it can't handle, well, why Clear can't handle hard copy terminals. So this directory listing is the GitHub project that I use to keep all this code in. Anything that I'm hacking with on like terminal setup or applications and so on. There is a directory here called firmware, and yes! Okay, so this does actually have the thing that I was looking for, which is terminfo.txt. Little text file, has 12 lines, so that's short enough to just print. I'll just print it out. Terminfo.txt is where I defined the behavior of the TTY33-AMX terminal. So let's take a look at it. Close the lid while it prints, saves the noise a little. So the way that this thing works is a terminal file, a terminal info file, is basically a definition of the things that a particular terminal type can handle. And then there's a terminal database, the terminfo database. And the database stores like a list of all the terminals that you could possibly connect to the system, and any special behavior that they have. So this one is slightly customized. Let's go have a look. So it says it's an ASR33 with auto margin capability. That's the main reason that I have this custom term info file. It also has a pure binary mode, because one of the things I want to do in the terminal is print paper tape, and if I'm going to punch paper tape, I don't want the shell behavior getting in the way, because, for example, when I have a character turn, there's some behavior that I've added that in this firmware that adds a couple delays before the line feed, so that you don't have printing happen while it tries to return the carriage. So there's all sorts of kind of little things that Unix used to do that I've put into firmware, and this term info file is a way to kind of add custom things into that. But at the base of it, it's TTY33 plus some extensions. That's why I've called it -AMX, which is for auto margin. And there's a few kind of little keywords in the term info world that define standard behaviors. You will, if you go search the web, you'll find listings of what all of those keywords are. I don't think there's a good command line way to find what those keywords all are and what they mean. But you can find the source for all of this stuff. And the term info capabilities that I'm listing here are HC, OS, XON, AM, column 72 because it's 72 columns wide, Control G for a bell, Control M for a carriage return, cursor up by 1 is Control J, which is the same as line feed, and then a few special ones that we'll get to some other time that I'm pretty much experimental. But the HC means it's a hard copy terminal. And so that tells anything that reads the term info database that this is a hard copy terminal. And so when I say clear up at the top and it says clear, you can scroll off the screen now. Let's scroll back and see it. When clear says I can't handle hard copy terminals, that's how it knows that it's a hard copy terminal. Because the current terminal has a flag in the capabilities that says it's hard copy. It's also why I think if I say VI, then it will just again fail for the same reason. I'm not going to try because I have it set up so that sometimes Vim will work. We'll go there when we need to go there. So anyhow, where do we get to? I think I want to look at next. Well, I want to fix this, right? I want to make it so that when I say clear, then it maybe has some behavior. Like, what should it do? What should it actually do? Well, maybe it should like print a dozen line feeds. So how can I make it so that when I say clear, then it actually clears the screen? Instead of complaining that it can't handle hard copy terminals. Well, I could just say this is not a hard copy terminal. I could go edit my terminfo.txt, take out that thing that says HC, and then no software in Unix will know that I've got a hard copy terminal, but like, this is a hard copy terminal, so let's deal with it. So, okay, what are the other capabilities? There's OS, that means overstrike. That means it can print some stuff on a line and then it can hit carriage return and print some stuff and it'll still be on the same line, it'll overstrike. Well, that's true, so let's keep it on. XON, I think it means uses XON and XOF flow control, whole other topic. I'm not convinced that that's true, but we'll see. Anyway, AM means auto margin. Now normally this thing does not have auto margin. A Teletype terminal does not know how to do a carriage return at the end of the line automatically. If you do some long listing, it'll just hammer at the end of the line and bash until it prints through the paper. But I added an auto margin capability in firmware, and again we'll talk about it. So I don't want to fix this by just fixing my term info and then I don't know, we'll get I don't know. Anyway. The next thing I think though is like maybe there's a clue in it says I can't handle hard copy terminals, because I've seen that message before. Right, so I say top. Well, I can't handle hard copy terminals, and sure enough. So it turns out this is a common thing that I've seen before, and it's part of the curses library. And I only know that because I tried some stuff the other week dealing with curses. So. And do I have anything in here? I don't want to list the whole thing. What do I want to do? Where is my include? I know, I'm gonna just take a look in the manual. Well, let's try it the obvious way. I can't find... There's a term.h that has this somewhere, I'm fairly sure. Because term.h is where the curses stuff gets initialized. I know where it was. I was doing this thing on Twitter. If I go to my Twitter, I'll find it. Let's see. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Looking at my Twitter again. We left in the middle of some stuff. Hi Luna, good to see you again. Glad you can join this. This is a digression. It's a rabbit hole, and we're going to digress into it. Luna, maybe you know. Where's my include? I'm looking for term.h. And I don't know, we'll find it. It's lovely when it like prints all of this. Yes! Yes! I have some results! That's enough. One of these days I'll remember that find spits out all of this nonsense about the directories it doesn't have permission to. One of these days. The problem with interrupting this thing with Control-C, I mean, Control-C will work and it'll interrupt this thing. Yeah, the closest is term iOS. So there are layers of stuff here, but the one I'm actually looking for is term.h. And I have a tweet somewhere in a thread on the 18th where I talked about this thing. Let's close that. Ignore it while it talks. Term.h is like the header for the curses package, so you may have to install ncurses-dev or something like that to find it. But the curses, because this is like layers of archaeology, there's probably 10 different ways to initialize this thing. But I think term.h is probably the simplest. And it's in user/include. And I think I got it there by installing with apt-get, because I'm running Debian here, by installing ncurses 6-dev or something, ncurses 5-dev, I don't know, one of those. So, okay, let's go back to basics here. I'm going to completely reset this thing because it takes forever. I can't tell how long that listing of find is going to take. And I've programmed it so that holding the break key down for a long time completely resets the system. It doesn't it doesn't restart the host. It just completely resets the connection from the terminal to the host, which is like the current loop to USB connection thing that glues it all together. So anyway, I'll talk about that some other time when we want to get into what the break key does, because it's really like there is no break key on a modern keyboard, right? There's escape and control break maybe, and I don't know. But so user include term.h. Let's see if this has anything. Oh yeah. Ooh. Sure enough, term.h has some maybe interesting things in it. Oh, it really does. Clear screen. It says CUR strings fine. Interesting. Okay. That is interesting. So somewhere in here, I wonder, let's look. How long is term.h? 800 lines. No way I'm printing that thing. I wonder what term... What is CUR, I wonder? And where are all these strings? It would be nice to be able to just use the ED editor to go look at them or something. I'm not going to print them all out, that's for sure. Yeah, let's use the ED editor. So somebody told me it's ED, the standard editor. It's not called ED. I always thought it was called ED. Apparently it's called ED, so here we go. It's 39,000 characters long. Does it have the word strings in it? No. No. What's up with that? No match. Oh, because it's maybe uppercase. Huh. Okay. And probably clear screen is going to be uppercase as well. I'm going to have to learn how to use ED with case-insensitive searches. I thought /I at the end of it might do for the regular expression, but apparently not. Trying to remember if cur was the name of an escape sequence, but I don't know right now. Yeah. I'm trying to not cheat here. I was like, my cheat would be I'd open it in Vim in a terminal. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, there's a macro inside term H that says clear screen. My guess is that it just says cur is like something that just says look up from the strings table. Basically, all of these things just turn into escape sequences, right? I mean, I bet that the strings are the strings are just a set of escape sequences. Oh, what's the thing to say how many lines of context in grep? I think it's -n. I want to say plus or minus 5 lines. My searching for stuff foo is completely screwed up today, so yeah, it's not that. -C5, let's try it. Oh, I wonder if it's uppercase C, because of course I would have a problem with that too. Yes, this may do it. Wow. Good job, Luna. My trusty assistant, thank you. I hope you're enjoying this. I mean, this is kind of fun for me. Not to get lost down this rabbit hole and to play with ancient technology. Also, I hope the lag is better this year. First episode was really, really terrible. I looked at it afterwards and it was really bad. But I hope I fixed that with some new camera work and adjusting my resolution and things. This doesn't seem to be working, otherwise it would have returned already. Okay, let's see where we are. I can't handle hard copy terminals. I can't handle hard copy terminals. Alright, at this tape I am going to switch to a web browser and go Google that thing. And the place that I'm going to Google it, I think I want to search in like the Raspberry Linux sources or something, just to be exactly on like what I'm looking at here. I wonder, actually, maybe it's in term.h. It's not in term.h. Can't handle hard copy terminals. Well, let's search the whole of GitHub because it's not in the Raspberry Pi repos. I'm sorry, I'll share my screen if I figure out how. Okay. 1 second. No, that's too complicated right now. But I want to find a piece of code somewhere that says can't handle hard copy terminals, and sure enough it is in ncurses and it is in libsetup.c. Alright. I wonder, I don't know if I have sources on here. Lib underscore setup, and I want to pipe the standard error out of here so I don't get all of those permission errors in my face here. So if I have any sources on this machine, which I don't, let's see, bear with me 1 moment. Let's see if I can find one. I can, sure enough. I'm just going to copy it into my temp directory. I don't have one, so let's make one. And from another machine. Oh. No, did not want to do that. Something's slightly off with my machine today. It's jumping spaces. And this is worrying. It's definitely a worry. I don't want to have to deal with difficult problems. And I may have a difficult problem to deal with. Oh good, I'm glad that the audio and video is better. Yeah, awesome. What did I put in here? Let's see. libsetup.c. Let's have a look. Here in libsetup.c, which is part of the ncurses package, there is a thing. Okay, so let me just read this. It says ls outputs tabs, but if your terminal uses weird tab settings, it ends up looking weird like that. Maybe it is just tabs then. I hope it's just tabs, because anything mechanical is like more work that I want to deal with. Or, so it's not just mechanical, it's like the timing stuff is all mechanical, and so if there's a glitch between, like, the baud rate is not exactly 110, and so, I mean, it can drop bits if you get the timing wrong, and if you drop a bit in the middle of each character, like some of these bits here, if you dropped the bit, then the characters come out wrong, and yeah, then everything goes really bad. And debugging that stuff is a whole nightmare that I'm not going to do this evening. So anyway, alright, we have hard copy right there. So let's look at the surrounding stuff for that. Yes. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah, okay, let's go back a little bit further. Okay, there seems to be a comment I'm in the middle of here. Let's print a few lines and see what happens. Oh, that's absolute line. I think I've got this wrong again. Yeah, okay. Go back where we were. Trying to be too smart and remember my ED things, so back 10 and forward by 12 and print. No. Where am I? I'm still here. My cursor didn't move. Oh, of course my cursor didn't move. Okay. Minus 10, comma. I thought if I go back... Oh, maybe it's absolute. No. If I go back minus 10... Oh, this is just like printing line 20. This is the wrong thing. Okay. I want to print like the next line 20. So, find this line again. Okay. Nope. What's up? Invalid address, comma, 20. Dot, comma, 20. Invalid address. How about plus 20? Well, let's see. No. Okay, let's go back 20. There we are. Comma. Plus 20. Let's print them all. No? Minus 10, comma. Plus 20p. You know, I would never succeed on my own, thank you. Alright, let's see what it says when it comes around to this thing. BSD 4.3's term cap contains a mistyped GN for the WISE99 terminal. Let's do a sanity check to make sure we're not using a WISE99 terminal on BSD 4.3. Nope, we're not. If anybody is, you get the prize. It's mind-blowing. And sometimes these like backcompat stuff disappears. Like the backcompat things that know how to add a time delay so that the carriage has time to return, they've gone away. The backcompat things that say that I know how to automatically handle an uppercase login and just deal with uppercase as an uppercase terminal, that stuff's all gone away. Alright, how many lines am I at? I think I'm getting there. But I have a flag that says, else, if hard copy, then return this error. I can't handle hard copy terminal. Okay, so let's look. There's a flag that says, da 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 da. My cursor at else if hard copy. Well, where's hard copy? Hard underscore copy. Okay, well we've seen that one. And that's probably the same. And okay. Am I just going around in circles here? Let's just assume Malik always succeeds. It always succeeds, as you know. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. My slash is just not taking me forward. Let's go to the top of the file. I'm going to search for hard copy again. No, surely not. Okay. Hard copy. What's this file called? libsetup.c. Oh wow. Well, sure enough, hard copy is defined somewhere else. How strange. And I didn't get the whole rest of the sources from this thing, but so let's clear the train. So libsetup.c has a thing that says if it's a hard copy, then say an error. I can't handle hard copy terminals. But I don't know where that hard copy flag is defined. It does maybe help to look at the function that it's defined in, and the only way I can really conveniently do that is to cheat. It's in a function called setupTerm, and setupTerm is what you call to set up the terminal. It's literally, that's the call that you make if you want to get curses to initialize. And I have a printout of a listing on my phone. Oh, it's in my bin directory. It's and it calls setup term. Let's go see that. Tilde. Where's my home symbol? Is there a home? There is no home symbol. I don't think there's a vertical bar, but also there is no tilde. Luckily, I can just say CD. I can't say CD tilde slash whatever because that character is not in the character set. But let's cap that HC dot. Actually, let's just head the first dozen lines of it. Yeah. Yeah, let's cat that whole thing. It's not that long. So this is a little utility that I wrote to figure out, am I running a hard copy terminal? And so now I remember some of how you detect how you're a hard copy terminal. And you can see that it hammers into the right hand margin over here. So we say include term.h and initialize cursors by saying setup term. And this setup term function, which is actually the file that we're looking at in libsetup.c, has three parameters. The first parameter is, I think, the name of the terminal. And the name of this terminal is ASR33-AMX. But you could specify like xterm, and it would go set up and be an xterm as far as the machine knows, because the machine doesn't really know anything about the terminal unless you tell it, like, hey, I'm an xterm, or hey, I'm a teletype. So in setup term, the first parameter says just use whatever the environment says. I'm a teletype, or I'm an xterm, or whatever. The file descriptor, I forget what that's for. I think it's just standard out, and then an integer handle that's going to get the error return. If you don't pass the error return, then let's see what happens. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So if I have this HC command says this is a hard copy terminal. It's okay. Let's read some more code. Setup term initialize cursors, and now we test. TI get flag HC goes and reads that terminal info database that we looked at earlier in back here in my terminal info. This thing is, the API to read it is TI get flag that reads like a Boolean flag value. So that's good. It is a hard copy terminal. Let's edit this. And I'm going to replace this line . And let's see, bracket, star, where's the asterisk? I don't use this keyboard enough. FD1, and no. Let's go back, look at the original one, delete that line, print whatever line I'm on now. Okay. Let's say that. And then my GCC command. I have to look at the command here. GCC dash. Nope. I've got to bring in package config. pkg dash config. C class. Lids. And cursors. And let's put the output to HC2. If this works. Boom. So all I did was I took off the error return flag and put null and said set up this terminal and handle the errors yourself. And the setup term then says, well, you're not going to handle the error, but I think this is an error. I can't handle hard copy terminals. That is exactly where this little message comes from. All it comes from is somebody calling setup term to say set up the terminal, and I'm not going to handle any errors that happen, and so by default you're going to get an error. It says I can't handle hard copy terminals because setup term assumes that you're going to set up a visual terminal that has like up and down and left and right and whatever. I don't know, coordinates. 2 dimensions. Who needs 2 dimensions? We've got 1 and a bit. Alright. I'm gonna do one little more thing. Just because. I think the R is a replace. No, R is not a replace. There's a single letter command in ED that is a replace this line, and I can't remember it. So let's say setup term. Instead of saying I just want to use whatever terminal we're running, let's pretend to be xterm. And I'm not going to handle the error if there is one. Sounds reasonable. Here's the previous thing. Oh no. What? Oh no. R did something weird. It moved my cursor. Okay, here's this thing. Here's this next thing. What line am I on? I'm on line 8. Okay. Let's go back to the other one. Nope, that's the end of it. Okay. What line am I on? I'm on 145. Okay. Let's do that again. There is also, of course, there's a command for move a line, which is just M. Let's do C for change. Great suggestion. Set up term. Xterm. File descriptor 1 for standard out. 0 for null because I'm not going to handle any errors. Okay. There. I can't remember the print things. I'm just going to assume I'm right. No. Alright. Could I use history to get back that GCC command? Not easily. Even if I could, right? I mean, if I could do, like, cursor up. All it would do is, like, print over the current thing I'm on, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, GCC. Dollar. Package config. Cflags and libs from ncurses. Compile hc.c to oh, I should have said -o. Oh no. Oh no. I've messed it up. Oh, I know what I've done. I've like that R command did something really bad. So let's go back. It's 669 characters long. When I wrote it again, it was 1308, so I definitely messed it up. Alright, let's change. And I'm going to set up the X term. That's good. 650 something characters. Let's compile it. And let's run it. So this is going to say, let's wind back to the listing. It's going to initialize ncurses, but it's going to pretend to be an X term. Then it's going to test, do we have hard copy? If this succeeds, it's going to test, do we have hard copy? And tell us either there's nothing available, or that it's not, or that it is. And, now, if you initialize setup term and say I'm X term, then Unix believes you're an X term. And in fact, you're not an X term, you're a Teletype Model 33. Hi, I can't read your name because it's really small letters, but it begins with an X. Hey, thank you for joining. This is really cool to see you. So, let's see, we've been down this rabbit hole. I said clear. And we now know exactly why clear can't handle hard copy terminals. It's because it's initializing it's initializing ncurses, the whole curses library that deals with like the terminal info database. And it's initializing it and not handling the error return. And so by default, it says we need to be a graphical or a visual terminal that has cursors. Alright, now how am I going to fix it? I have a nefarious scheme. What is that nefarious scheme? There is somewhere a terminal info capability that says, can you clear the screen? I think. I mean, that HC is the thing that says I'm a hard copy terminal, and yeah, there is. I'm kind of cheating a little by having a browser in another machine. There is a CL terminal capability. And yeah, maybe there isn't a CL term info capability. Let's there is. It's called clear, and so tput is basically a little terminal info utility that says read out of the current terminal info database and get the escape code that does XYZ. And in this case there is no escape code for clear. But I bet if we define one, then the clear command, we can actually alias. We can't, like, I don't want to recompile the clear command to initialize setup term and ignore the error. I don't think I want to do that. I don't even know where the source to clear command lives. It's probably deep in the bowels of Unix utilities somewhere. I don't know. Is it a built-in? I don't think it's a built-in. No, it's not a built-in. It's actually part of user bin. So I could like go find the source to clear and go rebuild it. I don't think I want to do that. Not today. So my goal here is to make the clear command work and clear my screen. Is that so much to ask? So I think I just have to alias it. No, I think clear is actually a command of its own. I think yeah, it's an actual executable. Not a very big one. Literally, probably all it does is, in C, like, tput clear, right? I expect that that's literally what it does, because it's the right thing to do. You go read from the term info database if there's a special command, like an escape sequence that says clear, and then you tput it. You send it to standard output. So let's go back into this firmware database directory, and this term info file that defines what capabilities I've got in my hacked around Teletype terminal. I think if I add clear into this file and recompile it, then I can get it to do some stuff. Let's try. Now we know how to use the standard editor, so I can edit this file. I hope I can compile it again. What's this called? Term info. And let's go to the end of the thing. Let's append a new line. clear equals. Now what I really want to do is Control J, Control J, Control J, Control J, Control J. That should be enough. That's enough line feeds to effectively clear my screen. Okay. Can I compile this thing? Well, that seemed to work. How about that? So if I put clear, it clears the screen. If I now say alias clear equals put clear, so I'm going to completely ignore the fact that clear the built-in doesn't work. Just clear my screen. I think I need a few more lines than that, but 5 is enough to prove it. Okay. I think I can check it in. I hope that I'm up to date. I'm not sure that I am. Yeah, okay. And let's do it the slow way. Alright. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. We have succeeded in clearing the screen on a 1970-ish Teletype ASR Model 33 terminal to a Unix computer. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again next time. I'm hoping that episode 3 will be at the weekend sometime, but I'll keep doing it as long as I keep having fun, and as long as you guys keep having fun too. So let me know. Talk to me on Twitter. We'll come back at the next time and do something like real with the project that I started last weekend of trying to build a Twitch bot. And the goal there is to build a Twitch bot that rings the bell. We ended up in a rabbit hole of Python versions, but I think we can get past that. And we'll make a Twitch bot that rings a bell next time. Thank you, everybody. I'm signing off. Oh, I better log out, haven't I? Oh no, I'm not even going to log out. I'm going to do shut down. Because what's the point of having a Unix machine if you can't actually like shut it down? There we are. Signing off. Thank you.